As usual, welcome you to She TV, the place to become powerfully feminine from the inside out. And today we're talking about a really important topic, which is that of how being too masculine is stopping you getting what you want. And before we proceed, I just want to personally invite you as members of my community and as subscribers to a 1-hour completely free masterclass that I am conducting next week. And it's titled The 3 Massive Mistakes Women Make That Are Keeping Them Exhausted, Overwhelmed, and Burned Out. Now, this is a really key topic. I'm going to be teaching you things that I teach in my paid programs inside of this. There's a link above and there's links below in the description box. Please join. You have to reserve your seat and you have to turn up live. There's no replays, that's why. And so I'm also going to be offering an opening to my community the doors to the Powerfully Feminine Intensive program next week, but it's actually only being offered to people who attend the masterclass, okay? Because I have a whole array of really, really special bonuses and offers for you, and it will be the last time I offer this particular selection of bonuses, okay? So click on the link, get your seat, and I'll see you there at the live event next week. So come on in and say hello if you are there. Love seeing your faces. Hello. Welcome, welcome. Let's see who we have here. Sneha, namaste from India. Chelsea George, hello. Enlightened Nat. Oh gosh, did I miss the session? No, we are just starting, my dear. Ariadne, hello again. Yvette Kelly, hi. Beautiful. Welcome, ladies. Great to have you here. So let's dive on in today. So just to be clear that this talk for you today is for you if you want to know how to be really feminine and stop compromising your energy and really your actual real success in life, work, and relationships, or in fact maybe your desire to serve and you don't really know how to get out of being overly masculine or masculinized, okay? And this is not for you if you've already mastered what I call the feminine arts, or if you're okay with being inside pre-existing masculine paradigms and being pretty masculine. This is not for you, okay? Now, needless to say, this is a discussion I'm having with women, just because I've had some men misunderstand what I'm saying here. So today what I'm going to cover, and there's a lot, so I want to dive in. I want to show you how being too masculine is the main thing that is standing in the way of you actually getting what you really deeply want and desire, okay? I'm going to discuss the huge discovery that I made around being masculine and why it doesn't work for us women, and what you need to do to find new ways of being that will actually get you what you want. All right. So let's just check in and see who is here. Hello, hello. Welcome on board as we're diving in here today. Janelle, beautiful. Wonderful. Sneha has already reserved her spot for the masterclass. Beautiful. Come, I'm looking forward to doing that next week with you all. All right. So let's dive in. There's a lot to talk about here. So I've always got the Queen Bee mug going as I'm intravenously drinking tea to keep myself going at the moment. It actually relaxes me. Tea relaxes me. It's not, I used to run a tea company, just so you know, so I'm a total tea nerd, but that's another conversation and we can do some more tea talk at another time. Tea's relaxing for me. It keeps me hydrated. Okay, let's start here. All right. So the first thing I want to pass to you is that, well, I just want to acknowledge, if I could, I want to acknowledge that you end up in your masculine too much, or what I call being stuck in man mode, and that in and of itself is the first and most important step of recognition before you have any chance of actually changing that, okay? So I just want to acknowledge you for that. And the second thing I want to acknowledge is that it's not your fault. It's not your fault that that's what you end up doing. It's how we have been trained to be, to think, to act, to perceive success, to do business, to do sales, marketing, and for those of you that are mothers, you might even find yourself going into that man mode way of operating to run your family, okay? Something that is seemingly a unique feminine role ends up being done through the masculine lens, okay? So the first thing I wanted to discuss here that is not working is that, and the reason why you might be doing this is being overly masculine is often a mask for our vulnerability or our sensitivity. And the thing is, your vulnerability and your sensitivity is incredibly beautiful. And it is one of the things, and this is a digression on the relationship side, it's the thing the masculine falls in love with, just adores in the feminine is our vulnerability. But I know for me, when I was in my early career as a corporate woman, and then, I started to become an entrepreneur, that it was a mask for fear, and it was a mask for vulnerability. And it was really just a big fat coping mechanism, a survival mechanism. And, in Maslow's hierarchy of needs, you can look that up. I might put a link below. In Maslow's hierarchy of needs, he says that it's a triangle that goes like this. And at the base of his hierarchy of needs are survival, right? Is survival and safety. And as a woman, you have to understand that whether you think you're really tough or you're really cool with things, our personal safety and our sense of survival is very, very intrinsically, deeply, and fundamentally important to us. And so if we don't feel safe, or if we're not thriving, we find ourselves stuck in the lower part of Maslow's hierarchy. What comes after that, when we do feel safe and we do feel secure, is that we then can engage love, and then we can engage community, and then we can engage the top of the hierarchy, which is what he calls self-actualization, okay, which is our spiritual practice, right? And so when we're in survival and we're using this sort of masculine training and this mask to mask our vulnerability and coping, I know for me, so when I was corporate way back, I was what I'd call a high-level survivor. So I looked like I was, I was ticking all the boxes. I looked like I was the bee's knees. I was the one that everybody wanted to be like outwardly, because I had the outward success and I was doing everything the way I'd been trained, and I was very, very, very good at it. But on the inside, I was dying, and I was actually afraid, and I was in a very big coping mechanism. Now, what this leads into for us as women is it leads us into a world of shoulds rather than wants and desires. We don't realize, because we are working so hard and doing and going, that we are doing what we think we want. We're doing what we've been trained or conditioned to want and desire, and it ends up becoming a should or an obligation or just a habit sometimes, right? And, one of the biggest things I do with my women in my my paid training in the Powerfully Feminine Intensive is there's an entire module on desire and understanding desire. And a little sneaky peek here, I'm going to talk a lot about the art of desire in my live masterclass next week. So jump on board and I will teach you about the desire formula, okay? But let's proceed here today. All right, so the second reason why being in our masculine too much is getting in the way of us getting everything we want is that there is no space for the provision of the masculine. Now, what I mean by that is one core quality of masculine or the masculine is provision, right? So look back at my life again. I was a high level, I was a very successful corporate woman, then entrepreneur. I was doing all the providing. I was doing all the providing. There was no space. There was no gaps in my time, in my day for anybody or anything to provide for me. Okay. Remember, I don't know if you know my story, but my father died when I was very young. I was a young girl. And so all of my personality, all of my survival mechanisms, all of my will went towards surviving and being a very good looking on the outside survivor, right? I was afraid. I'd lost the masculine force in my life. And so I took it on. I looked at the world around me and I said, oh, that's how you get things done. That's how you succeed. That's how you achieve. Okay, I'm going to learn how to do that. And I became very, very good at it. And all of those things done in that way are the masculine provision. And it doesn't allow any space for this beautiful concept of the provision to come toward you. Now, the provision could be the provision of the divine. It could be help coming from somebody. It could be you receiving back from your efforts. Or it could be indeed a man providing something for you. And that doesn't necessarily mean money or taking care of you financially, but it's a provision element that the masculine wants to do for the feminine. In fact, they relish in doing that for us. Excuse me, I have a thing here I just need to plug in. And it's a delight for the masculine to provide for the feminine. And this actually takes me to my third point today. And this is actually a discussion a bit more about masculine, feminine dynamics in relationships, if I might, if that's interesting to you. And it takes me to this point that when we are overly masculine, we're not getting what we want, because whether we're in a relationship or whether we're dating, when we're overly masculine, there is no room for his masculine in your life. Now, I'm taking a pause there for you to let that sink in. You're not allowing any space for his masculine in your life. So let's look at a scenario. You're going out on a date, right? And you turn up and you're wearing this sort of energetic cloak of being a dude because you've just come off work and you've been doing, surviving and pushing and striving and competing all day long, and you don't even change and you don't make any transitions, and you turn up to the date and you might be dressed in a skirt or a dress, but energetically you feel like a dude. And I can promise you, this man does not want to come home to a dude at night. And so he turns up to the date, and energetically it ends up feeling more like an interview or more like two dudes comparing how smart they are or how successful they are or how great they are at things. And you see here, I'm just painting a picture that he doesn't feel that you need his masculine. He doesn't feel that there's any space for the masculine in him in your life. Now, let's be super clear. Smart, savvy women are adored by smart men. They love you being smart and savvy, but you don't lead with that. And you need to learn how to transition from, sometimes we go into our masculine. I'm a very big advocate of the masculine in us as a woman, but we also need to have this fluidity of consciousness where we can move into our feminine, okay? We lean back in the feminine. We allow the masculine in. We invite it into us. And when you know how to do this, it is an absolute delight for a masculine man to meet a woman who can receive his masculine, who gives it space, who doesn't feel like she needs to play some sort of masculine tennis match with him, proving how smart she is, proving how successful she is or has been. He'll find that out eventually, but that's not what he's seeking. The masculine adores the feminine in us, and so we need to be in that, and we need to learn how to be able to be in that. So what does that mean for you? That means you need to learn the feminine arts. So because we were so highly trained in being masculine in our work, in our life, and it ends up being in our relationships, right, where we end up emasculating these poor men in our life, we need to learn or relearn the feminine arts and skills required for us to be able to have that fluid movement from masculine into the feminine at will, anytime. And it's not just this sort of polarity movement, it ends up being this expansion of experience. Like you actually end up having a bigger, broader, wider experience of yourself and of life. And, you know, I'm guessing that this is what you want. You want to thrive. You want to be the biggest and juiciest and best version of yourself. And you want to experience feeling powerful, but that you're experiencing it from feminine power, from being plugged in to your juicy, innate feminine source in your energy and in your body, in order that you turn on, and you turn on brightly and joyfully and enthusiastically. And this fills you up with energy. And you see, I'm very big on this concept of becoming self-full as a woman, right? So what does self-full mean? You see, a lot of what I've just said could be perceived through certain lenses. Well, isn't that just totally self-centered and selfish, that I put my desire first and I need to, you know, do all this work to, you know, get into my feminine? No, this is called self-full. And when you learn to become self-full, you enter the realm of the true feminine. And a self-full woman is admired and adored by everyone around her, by her friends, by her community, and she is loved and adored by very masculine men. So we want to become very feminine so that we attract very masculine men in our lives. Now, I know for some of you have asked me many questions. Oh, I tend to attract feminine men. It's like, well, I know that story because that was me, right? I was smarter than them. I was more capable than them. And I ended up emasculating them because of that. But they weren't very masculine. And I always maintained I wanted a really masculine man, but I had to get my masculine out of the way to allow that masculine man to be attracted into my life. As such, I have attracted that masculine man into my life. He absolutely adores my feminine and the feminine, and I love that about him. And I give him lots and lots of space for his masculine in our life and in our relationship. Okay, so again, as I'm going to go to see if there's any questions on this, I want to invite you into my masterclass next week. It is a masterclass. It'd be a free 60-minute masterclass. It's 3 massive mistakes that women make that are keeping them exhausted, overwhelmed, and burning out. And all of those things, and a lot of the things I've spoken about today, I'm going to dive into in much, much greater depth. There's a link above and there'll be a link below in the description box. I will be offering the Powerfully Feminine Intensive at the end of the masterclass. And I'm only offering it to those that turn up to the masterclass, okay? Because I'm opening the doors only for a couple of days. Okay, and the particular offer that I'm making there is only available to those who turn up live. Okay, so I want to see if you have any questions, my loves. Hello, Najwa, Tahira. Hello, Naomi. Naomi says, sometimes I worry that asking him to help me with the things or teach me things will make him think I'm stupid. Oh, honey, I remember feeling that myself. I remember feeling exactly the same thing. And the thing is for me is I'm actually super, super capable, and I can get almost anything done. I'm extremely resourceful. So one of the things I had to learn was to ask the masculine for help, because I wanted to allow his masculine to provide for me. Back to the provision piece. It's a total delight for them to do things for us, to be asked to do things for us. So even though I could do a lot of them, when I ask the man, would you be willing to help me do this? Or I can't quite work this thing out. They don't think that you're stupid, honey. They just da-da-da. I can promise you the hero in him will puff his chest out, and watch for that. He'll puff his chest out and he will go to work and he'll get it done for you. And our next job is to thank him for his provision. Thank you so much for doing that for me. I am so deeply, deeply grateful. That's acknowledging the masculine. This is one of the most important pieces for us. Acknowledge him for what he does for you, for how he provides for you, how he provides your needs and desires. Beautiful, beautiful. Okay. Najwa asks, should we always allow our spouses to pay for things? Is it masculine to offer to pay for things? Well, this is the whole conversation on provision today, isn't it? So if we take away the money part of it, okay, whether you have more money than him or he has more money than you or he's got the wallet or whatever, it is about provision. I watch this carefully with my partner, okay, because he is so generous. He's generous with his resources, with his time, with his energy, with his financial resources. And I can see how much it's meaningful to him when he provides for me. It's meaningful to him. Whether I can or not is not the issue. It's about receiving his masculine. And that is one way that I receive his masculine. Yeah, that's what I want to say on that today. Hello, Maya Gamal. Hello. Beautiful, beautiful, my dears. All right. Okay. So I just want to go on for a few more minutes. Again, I want to invite you to the free masterclass. It is where I'm going to dive deep. I'm going to be teaching things about some of the 5 core feminine arts. In fact, I'm going to be teaching about the 5 core feminine arts. So I'm going to put another link here so that you have access to, let's put it here. So you've got a link. I'd love you to come. You need to be live on the masterclass to hear it. There are no replays. I'm offering this only to my inner circle, to my subscribers, to my Facebook community, and to my community. So I am personally inviting you. I'd love you to come along. I'll be diving super deep there, and come along, grab yourself tea. I'll be sending you a free masterclass flow guide that you can follow along with and answer some questions as we do the work together next week. Any last questions whilst I am here? Ariadne says, I'm always feeling guilty whenever I am offered something, even the smallest thing. Well, that's about receiving, my dear. That is actually because something gets hit in your heart and you're having trouble receiving. And by the way, receiving is one of the 5 core feminine arts. And I do a complete deep dive training of that in the Powerfully Feminine Intensive. So I do you a disservice to say anything else than that right now. There's a lot to learn about receiving, and it's hard at first. I was like that too. I totally can empathize with you there. Tommy Owens says, men are wonderful. They will move mountains for a simple thank you from a woman they respect. Thank you for that. They will move mountains for the feminine that they love and adore, and who acknowledges him, who respects him, and who adores him, right? And men are different than us. Adore his masculine. Allow him to be masculine. Get out of the way and allow his masculine to shine. And my big positioning on this is, a lot of the time women end up blaming men, not Tommy obviously wasn't, but often women blame men. They're not providing for me, and I end up having to do all the doing, and I end up leading. It's like, well, stop. Firstly, just stop. Get out of the way, okay? But you have to learn. I get it. You have to learn the feminine arts and skills. And look, when I was learning all this, I had no mentorship. I had no leadership around this. So I feel for you, sister. I really feel for you. As I said, I'm here for you on that. I'm here to help guide you in that direction. That we need to learn how to be feminine again, because 99% of our training was how to be masculine, right? So I totally empathize with your position. All right, lovelies. Well, I'm going to finish up here today. So if you liked the live stream here today, if you liked the video, give me a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, subscribe on over here. And remember, when you have the courage to go out there and shine, you give others permission to do the very same. So let's all go out there and shine this week. Love to you, and bye-bye for now. Mwah.